Hey guys, I forgot to say that we are doing Clay Terrain analyzation video. Clay Terrain is the best character in Ace Attorney, he's a Okay, I forgot. Welcome everyone, this is Cincinnati 2100 and I'm going to talk about something that bothered me for a long time. Apollo Justice is my favorite character in Ace Attorney series. In my opinion, I think he's a better protagonist than Phoenix. Not that I say that Phoenix is a bad protagonist, except Dual Destinies, please get this idiot out of my sight. However, comparing his arc to Phoenix, he has the most inconsistent arc in the series so far. He strayed away from his true arc in his own game and he ended up in strange directions about friendships and dragons never yield. This is why I'm going to analyze Apollo's arc, and show you what went wrong. Before Dual Destinies, before Spirit of Justice, Apollo was regarded as the black sheep of the franchise. Basically everyone thought that he was Phoenix clone. No one liked him at that time. People thought that he has no personality beyond I'm fine and that's it. People liked him at DD and Spirit of Justice, when he became an emo in his 15 minutes of fame, and they liked him more in Spirit of Justice when he took out Queen Garan at the finale. For those people who thought that Apollo is a Phoenix clone, they do that with no explanation how. Shu Takumai made these two similar because they serve as an avatar to the player to react in their place, and he did a really good job in it. However, the difference between Apollo and Phoenix is that Phoenix is more laid back and lay competent, while Apollo is a little more mean-spirited and angry at people and more reactionary. Also, there's another difference between Apollo and Phoenix, their goals in the first game. Phoenix defends his client because he believes that they are innocent. Apollo on the other hand does it in order to find the truth. They both have different mentors and different goals, Phoenix being mentored by Mia Fey, and Apollo being mentored by everybody's favorite human being Christoph Gavin. I'll talk right now about Apollo's character's arc in his debut game. Apollo used to think highly of Christoph and Phoenix, but after he found out that Christoph and Phoenix were at odds with one another, he suspected Christoph of doing something with the crime. Apollo was put in a tough choice: be loyal to Christoph and accuse Phoenix of murdering Shady Smith, or choosing the truth and side with Phoenix and accuse Christoph. Tour to form, Apollo's search to find the truth leads him of accusing his mentor, and it turns out to be right all along. His mentor was a murderer. But in a cruel irony, Phoenix wasn't all innocent either. It turns out that Phoenix puts a bloody ace in the scene of the crime in order to ensure that Christoph goes to prison.
What? No, alright, I know that's...
It messed Apollo up pretty badly that he punched Phoenix after that, and vowed to never be a lawyer ever again, that until 2 months in, and Apollo went to Wright & Co. agency, which it's Wright Talent Agency at that time. Apollo eventually gets a new assistant, Phoenix Wright, and his first client is Waki Kitaki, who's the son of a Japanese mob leader, and I say Japanese because it's California. Eat your hamburger, Apollo. As the case progresses and Apollo was about to throw the towel, Trucy intervenes to tell him about the power of his perceive using his bracelet, and the witness might be lying as he has a nervous habit. This makes Apollo keep going to ensure Waki's innocence, which he does eventually. Case 3 and Case 4 are the meat of Apollo's arc. Apollo accuses Rubber Hair and Christoph Gavin respectively for the murders, but despite his claims and logic, there was no evidence to get to them. In Rubber Hair he listens to Phoenix's advice to ignite his flames. With Christoph it's the jurist system. So what Apollo learns here is that you can't catch certain criminals because they're using the law to their benefits. Realizing the law is corrupt, he vowed to change it if necessary, and with that he finds his true purpose: to understand the corrupt legal system and its consequences on the court. On top of that, we learn that Apollo is actually Trucy's stepbrother, who are the sons of Telesogram Mary from a line of a famous magician lineage. We also got an explanation with the bracelet powers. At the end of the game, we were left with more stuff to explore about Apollo. It would have been interesting to have a sequel that explores more about Apollo's real father, how the trials would operate with the new jurist system. Dual Destinies, however, ignores everything the previous game established, and Apollo ends up taking a backseat to everyone else. including a returning Phoenix and introducing a new character in Athena. Apollo's arc about understanding the corrupt legal system was substituted for a much lame friendship segment with Clay Terrain, whose significance rivals the green biker dude from Mega Man X2, where he cries over his dead friend that we never met, and we got the explanation of "I am fine," which doesn't amount to any character development. He ends up accusing Athena of murder but proven wrong. This little arc Apollo had was nothing compared to his debut. He just turns to an edgelord and he does the same things that he did in his own game, except there is no subtlety and less impactful, and he learns to force a smile. He feels very limited because other characters were having much more attention than him. And then there is Spirit of Justice. Look, Spirit of Justice is a really good game, and it has some of my favorite moments. However, it didn't do Apollo's arc any favors other than it's went off the rails, and I mean a fanfiction tier backstory, how he is the son of royalty and he ends up changing the law. Finally, we focus on Apollo's original arc, except it's not. He ends up changing the law of another place entirely. What he did is he overthrew a Final Fantasy villainess that sets up a law where lawyers get killed after trial. It's a silly premise and it's ridiculous. It's even more absurd than the law from the original trilogy, but at least it's enjoyable. I like that Apollo finally gets more role to play compared to DD, and he gets some shining moments as well. Unfortunately, it's not as interesting as his character arc in AJ, and that because the series was busy creating high stakes at the beginning of the game. That happened in Investigations 2, Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, as opposed to any other Ace Attorney game, where they raise the stakes at the final case. To tell you how I feel about Apollo's arc, it's a mixed bag. It's a very messy, convoluted mess at parts, and it has its cool moments as well. First, let's talk about Phoenix and Edgeworth backstories. They're pretty simple yet well executed. Phoenix was a helpless kid who was defended by Edgeworth. He wanted to become a lawyer because of him. He gets accused of murder but is saved by Mia, who works for her at the Faye & Co. office. Edgeworth wanted to become a lawyer like his father, but his father was killed, and after a messy trial to find the real killer, he turns to a ruthless prosecutor because of Manfred von Karma. Now let's sum up Apollo's backstory. Apollo is born with his mother as a magician and his father as a musician. His father dies in a fire during a concert, but he gets adopted by Dhurg. He has a new stepbrother who's named Naotot, and then revolution happens and his dad sends him to California, who befriends astronaut dude and works for Gavin, and he became a lawyer because of Dhurg. Not Phoenix, not Krista, Dhurg. This is what happens when you try and shove a lot of backstories to one character, thus you create a mishmash of disjointed backstories. They should have thought carefully before trying to add new elements to his backstory to flesh him out better. They did it better with Phoenix and Edgeworth and it made sense. With Apollo, it felt like they jumped the shark with his backstory to make him more like a hero, when they didn't need to. Second of all, let's talk about Apollo's motivations in each game. Apollo's motivation in the first game is to understand the corrupt legal system and vows to change it, but in DD, it changes to avenging his friend, which makes his original motivation seems worthless. The third game changes to overthrowing a tyrant because she's evil and kills lawyers. His motivations are disjointed, unfocused, and inconsistent. At least his character was kept intact, but his backstory and motivations were all over the place. Let's go with Phoenix. His motivation in his own trilogy is still consistent with his arc, him believing that every client is innocent until he finds out and what is meant to be a lawyer, and that truth is the way to save everyone, even the culprit. Even when they added Godot in the mix, it didn't interfere with Phoenix's arc. So, what's next for Apollo? Well, apparently at Spirit of Justice's ending, they are teasing his mother's return in the next game. I really don't know where is this going, but I hope it ties up Apollo's arc neatly. Since Yamazaki stepped down and a new creative writing team is on the helm, the next game could set up for a conclusion for Apollo's messy arc, and it could be a satisfying conclusion, or maybe not. Or they could reboot the entire franchise, because I think the series needs a refresh button to undo all the mess it did in the last two games, but what do I know? Overall, Apollo's arc is a wasted potential. They could have done more with the law after Ace Attorney 4 with the jurist system and Apollo's role in it, but backed out due to fan backlash, and his arc went nowhere. That he ended up having a messy arc, and I just wish if the next game is focused on Apollo, I hope they put him back in the right track.